Welcome to the Greek House, and we have with us Dr. Valentin Gvozdiy from Ukraine. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here. Dr. Valentin is leading the hydropower business in the Ukraine, a company with 10 different plants, and we would love to hear your views, first of all, about the status of Ukraine today, after so many months of war, but also to think of the energy potential and how you're dealing with energy sufficiency during a war. We have seen a lot of issues. I was reading a commentary yesterday talking about saying that in Ukraine it was already difficult to power the country consistently under normal times, how much of an effort it must take to deliver consistent power even during a war.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me here tonight. It's a pleasure to be here. First of all, I would like to thanks to all Greek people and of course the Greek state and your government for this strong support we feel, we receive, and we're very grateful for that. For us, it means a lot. We appreciate that. My name is Valentin Gvozdiy, and I am a head of supervisory board of the second largest producer of electricity in the country. We produce only green energy. It's a hydropower generation. So we generate energy out of water. You know that Ukraine is a very naturally rich country, and we have two very powerful rivers. It's a Dnieper River and Dniester River. And our company, which actually 100% belongs to the state, has 10 power stations, power plants on those two major rivers. Our company was reorganized almost 4 years ago from state-owned enterprise, which was like a post-Soviet, no corporate structure company, which still was quite successful. But after big reform we had in 2014, our company was changed. It was corporatized, and we had a corporate reform. So now it's a private joint stock company. 100% of shares belongs to the state, but it organized in the international level. So we have shareholder. Shareholder decides only what shareholder decides according to the law, no more. We have a supervisory board, which consists of 7 independent members. Those members mostly independent, 4 of them independent, and 3 of them appointed by the state. So I am one of the 4 independent members. I have legal background. I came from legal business, from the law business, but I had also education in UK regarding risk management, compliance, and corporate governance, as well as Harvard Business School about corporate governance. And I was elected by my colleagues as a chair of supervisory board, and this position is the highest position in the company. Supervisory board decides all issues, strategic issues related to the company, and also the most important, we appoint and dismiss the CEO of the company. So we plan activity of the company, we confirm and prove the plan of development, the future of the company, all financial plans, everything. So we decide on everything, and shareholder just receive this information from us. The share in production of electricity of our company in Ukraine now is about 11%. But actually now it's even more, because it was before the war. Before the war, energy mix of Ukraine looked like 60% was nuclear generation, 20 plus was fossil generation, 11% hydro generation, and only between 8 and 9% was actually renewable, wind and solar. So hydro generation is extremely important for any type of energy system, because we not only produce energy out of water, but we can balance energy system when it needed. Immediately, we just put the button, press the button, and immediately system has the energy.
In a way, you store energy, even though sometimes when I heard first the term storage for hydro, you don't understand what it means. But when you think about it, you can actually store energy because you have the option to turn on and off.
Yes, that's also true. And we have more than 3,000 employees actually in our stations, and we're developing now our company is profitable, really profitable. It's even on the world scale, quite big business. It's the largest taxpayer in the country, and we finished 2 last years with a quite substantial income, which we used for reconstruction, for rebuilding, for building new facilities, and we invest in a lot. We also attract a lot of finances outside from bank and financial institutions. Now we have a portfolio of such money under our management is $1 billion US dollar, actually, approximately. And yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. May I ask you two questions? One is more about the war and how this impacted your company from the staff. You know, you have 3,000 employees. Yeah. Were they all able to continue working? Maybe some became soldiers. And if you had any damages or, I don't know, bombings that impacted your facilities?
Yes. We were in the first row when Russians came with the aggression to Ukraine. During first week, one of our stations, which is close to Kherson, was captured by Russians. It's still under their control. The name of this station is Kakhovska station, and it was captured immediately from us. People on this station, some of them were lucky to escape, some of them were not. But we know that everyone is alive, and they still continue to perform their duties on the factory. But in general, we have one of the most important asset for us. It's our people. So we took many non-standard solutions when the war began. First of all, we paid a lot of money to people in advance because we didn't know what will happen in the next few days. So we wanted to be sure that our people has everything they need to support their families. Then we said, okay, some people can work remotely, but you know, our business is a business where you cannot stay at home.
It's a physical business.
Yes, you need to be physically on the plant, and I would say that our people, nobody ran away. Everyone was doing their job. Everyone was performing on their place and condition. We paid them good salary. We paid good extra salary. We motivated them in any possible way. And we're lucky that we have such people, because this attitude, our attitude to our people, it's not new. It was before the war. During the war, it was a stressful situation which just demonstrated their loyalty to us when we were loyal all those years towards them. That's how it works. And Ukrainians, we understand that we need to protect our country. And energy front is the second important front, because you know that after all those already nine massive missiles attacks on energy sector of Ukraine, every attack finished with complete damage of something. And our talented people can restore this energy supply in 2-3 days, maximum 1 week. People are not complaining that they are suffering, you know, without electricity, because they understand this is a course of action. We need to survive. We need to overcome. But if we're talking about numbers here, it's economical forum, and if we're talking about amount of damage, which now we have a preliminary assessment of the attacks, damage caused by Russians, now close to $500 million of US dollars only to our company. And it's not counted Kakhovska station, the price of which another $500 million. So I think $1 billion minimum, this is what we have, damage. Of course, we already started court procedures against Russians in many court institutions inside and outside of Ukraine, claiming restoration, claiming repayments, etc., etc. So we're fixing all those damages. We fix it professionally. We invite professional people who evaluate this, who make a lot of documentation, pictures, fixing. Then we will be able, I hope, to restore this and to reclaim it from the defendant.
Do you feel that, or do you see that there is yet international support, not financially, but technical support that can come into the country, or still because of the war, technical support or companies cannot come to support your operations?
Yeah, it's a good question, because we had a few ongoing, very important business processes. So we paid huge amount of money as advance payment for some equipment which should be installed or repaired on our stations. And for example, Austrian or German companies were responsible for doing this stuff. And after the war, they said, okay, we quit, we go home, we would not do this. And for us, it's critical. And we said, okay, if you don't want to stay here and do your job, you're free to go, of course, but our contract is finished, you have to pay, etc., etc. So some of them quitted, but some of them decided to stay. And we're very grateful and thankful to those brave people who stayed. And
obviously, a war can be, in a contract you can claim a force majeure, and certainly what's happening in the Ukraine can take that. But I'm glad to hear that there are companies that stay the course. And if you don't mind, I want to lead to another topic, which is already being widely discussed, which is the reconstruction. Obviously, the war is still ongoing, but I'm sure Ukrainians, but the world is actively considering the next day. And I'm sure your company will play an integral part in that reconstruction, not only reconstructing the damages that you have suffered, but channeling additional investment into new projects. If you would like to comment on that.
yes, there are many discussions about future reconstruction. There are many proposals, etc. But if we're talking about energy sector, it's important to mention and important to stress attention that we will need completely new energy system, energy mix, energy composition, generation composition. It will, unfortunately, Ukraine, after the war, where everything already damaged, and we don't know how much will be damaged more, will be very good a place where the bravest projects can be done, actually, because we will have opportunity to do everything from the scratch. And now we have a lot of initiatives, and one of these initiatives, so-called Berlin Initiative, it's a group of top experts in energy sector, offers help and support to European Union. And this project will be presented in European Commission very soon. The name of this project is Roadmap for Rebuilding of Future Energy Sector of Ukraine. It will contain a technical part, legal part, financial part, and also other issues which should be implemented. So it will be like handbook for Ukraine, but not only for Ukraine, but also for investors who will participate in the future in this rebuilding, because then it will be absolutely clear for them where they go. They will see the composition of the market. They will have the equal possibilities. It will be transparent. It will be completely clear for doing business. We already connected to European energy grid, to energy system, which means that if you invest in Ukraine, it will be like a part of energy mix of Ukraine. So our role will be to contribute heavily into adding green energy into general green energy mix of Ukraine.
Thank you for saying this.
Europe, sorry.
It's very interesting. You say this only 2 hours ago. We had another panel I hosted here at the Greek House with a number of energy and industry experts. And I have to say, at this point, we were talking about the energy transition, about the new energy mix of let's say, the European Union. But I think Ukraine will be a very interesting test case of rebuilding the energy systems according to the future standards rather than the standards of 50 years ago, which is what we have in the rest of Europe today.
Yeah.
And certainly, I think the financing will be available, and it's very interesting what you mentioned about the EU initiative.
Yes, but if we're talking about finances, we in Ukraine, I just want you to understand that we're not just sitting and waiting for money. Somebody will give us some money, we will spend them. No, it doesn't work like this anymore. Actually, we need to work, we need to create environment for those who would like to invest this money with a guarantee of their investments. And it's the question of rule of law, first of all, which is good question for any European country now, I would say, frankly speaking. And Ukraine made a huge progress. I just want to mention that Ukraine made huge progress since 2014 in judicial and also in anti-corruption activities. Now we have the best, I would say the best, anti-corruption compliance system in the world, I'm sure. We have real results. It's a numbers of people who are already in the jail. It's not just regular people who stole a chicken. It's members of the parliament, it's oligarchs, it's super rich people who stole from state budget from decades. Now they go to jail for real. And this anti-corruption compliance is, of course, it's another topic, but it's very connected to future economical well-being of our country if we want to attract money which will work for money, not a charity. We are not looking for charity here. We actually understand that we need to create transparent rule of law environment which will be safe at least for a few decades for investors.
Thank you for mentioning this. Actually, I was quite impressed because you started the first thing you said was about the governance structure of your company, which, I thought maybe was not, an obvious topic to start with. But I'm a private equity investor, and I think private equity investors, state investors, semi-state investors, institutions will look for this governance, which will open the doors for a sustainable investment environment. As you said, grants can come and go. It's not charity, but it's not something that's looking for investment return. But if you're able to set up a structure that will attract this type of money, it's much more long-term, and it's revolving. It will come again and again. I don't know if you'd like to comment maybe as a last thing about the financial sector in Ukraine. I don't know a lot about it, but it is part of the infrastructure that you need to have in place to generate the financing for new projects.
Yeah, it's interesting. And also we were lucky that our country managed, let's say, to clean our banking system before the war. More than 60 bank institutions were liquidated by National Bank of Ukraine during the last 5 years. It's not because it was aggressive policy or something like this. No, it was fighting with institutions who were doing not very good, not very well. Some people suffered from that, but on a large scale, we received robust bank system. And when war began, it demonstrated its results. No one bank collapsed during the war, officially. No one. Maybe one, but this one was already it was very small and it was already in a bad condition before the war. So it's not because of the war. I don't remember the name, but most of the banks, very resilient, very robust. They have enough resources. They demonstrate now profit. Most of the banks finished last year with a profit. It's well regulated. If we're talking about governance from the National Bank of Ukraine, it's quite good. Now we have a new bank governor who is very experienced, relatively young professional, and we trust him. We believe that he will demonstrate even better results. And major banks which belongs to the state, we have minimum 3 super big banks in Ukraine which belongs to the state, also very successful now because they were under this reform of corporate governance with a strong supervisory boards where people from with the strongest financial background from outside of Ukraine sit in and take major decisions, and managers of those bank institutions also very professional foreigners. Some of them foreigners, some are Ukrainians. It depends on the professional level. But those bank institutions now even able to provide loans to our small and medium business and big as well. And that's the reality. No one day people suffered from some disruption of bank system. Everything worked perfectly because Ukraine is highly digitalized country. Everyone use all those cards, cash. Nobody use cash anymore, almost in Ukraine. I don't remember how my currency looks actually. I use just card last 6 years.
This is very interesting, and I can tell you, looking at the case of the entire European Union and accession countries, that the banking system and strong banks are the best avenue for the financing to come through, because it generates effectively a multiplier effect. Even if money comes in from the European Union, it can be guaranteed and then multiplied through the local banking system and also channeled through development loans.
And robust actually loans, because the biggest problem was non-performing loans.
Exactly.
And now our non-performing loans, of course, increased. And maybe you've heard that major producer of steel, energy producers now in the insolvency. They now not insolvency, better word is bankruptcy actually.
Yes.
Because everything was damaged. Good example is Azovstal. Azovstal is completely damaged, completely destroyed, and it was huge business. And now, just 1 month ago, they started bankruptcy procedures. That's it.
I mean, they had no choice. It's not a financial matter.
Yeah.
Dr. Gvozdiy, I'd like to thank you for our discussion. First of all, I wish, and I think we all wish for peace, and we look forward to companies like yourself leading the reconstruction, and hopefully here in Davos, investors and governments taking an interest in building the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Bye.